Okay, so I just continuing this great relationship with DDP um and getting the Apple stuff, right? So season 3 of Servant, right? Got sent that. But hadn't checked out season 1 and 2. So what I thought I would do, watch season 1, 2, little recap, and then get into 3. So that's what we're doing, people. Now, it was one of Apple's original um, launch titles. I mean, it didn't launch on the day, but it was a November um, little situation that came. It's created by Tony Basgallop. Basgallop. I bet you probably pronounce it in some French, crazy way, something like that. I say French, it might be something else, but I'm saying Basgallop because I can't think of any other way you pronounce that shit. You know what I mean? So yeah, he created it. It is written by Baz Gallop, Nina Braddock, Ishana Knight Shalham, who I believe is M's daughter. I think that's the case. We also have got the show being produced by Baz Gallop, M. Night Shyamalan, Ashwin Rajan, Jason Blumenthal, Todd Black, and Steve Tisch. Cinematography is Mike Giolakis and Jarin Blashki. It's each episode is around 30 minutes, maybe slightly over, slightly under. You know what I mean? It is a psychological horror. Yes. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. So each season has 10 episodes, right? And so like most Apple titles, you know, this was it was renewed for a second just just before it launched. All right, and then the season 1 it hit on the 28th of November 2019. Season 2 hit on the 15th of January 2021, right? Was renewed for a third season before that. And season 3 is dropping on the 21st of January. But in December last year, it was renewed for a fourth season, which is going to be its last. That was good to hear, right? Because now I'm not saying it's bad, right? But the concept and everything that's going on, you think, I mean, this can't go on forever, right? So knowing that it's only got, say, 2 more seasons, that's good. Like, it feels like, okay, it won't overstay its welcome, you know? Which is, I feel that's always one of those things, right? You never want that, man. You never want that. So we have got Lauren Ambrose. She plays Dorothy Turner. She's a local news TV reporter. All right, we've got Sean, her husband, played by Toby Keeble. He's what is it? A bon vivant. Which says a lot, right? I mean, it says a lot. How fucking pretentious you are. If that's what, like, he's a chef. You know what I mean? He's a consultant, all of this, right? Which, boom, that's great. But when you give it, try to give it a fancy title like I'm a bumper bomb. You'd be like, go fuck yourself, son. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, so Dorothy is a brother, Julian, who is played by Robert Grint. Robert Grint, Robert Grint, right? He's been around for time. Um, you have also got oh gosh, the dad. Let me try and remember who her dad is played by. So Frank, her dad, Frank. So that's Dorothy and Julian's dad. He is played by Todd Waring. Julian also has a commie chef. Yeah, I think that's what you'd call him. Toby, who is played by Tony Revolori. And yeah, they get a nanny who is called Leanne, and Leanne is played by Nell Tiger Free. I mean, what a badass surname, Tiger Free, right? So yeah, Leanne Grayson. She is an 18-year-old nanny from Wisconsin. Uh, they, and she's looking after Jericho, their son, who's played by multiple little babies because, yeah, child labor laws and blah 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 blah, all of that rubbish. Anyway, other characters up in the piece, we've got Matthew Roscoe, who's a private detective. He's played by Philip James Brannon. We have got Wanda. She's another babysitter, and she is played by S.J. Son. Dorothy has a colleague called Isabel Carrick, who's played by Molly Griggs. So she's the, younger model of Dorothy, nipping at her coattails. Leanne has an uncle George, who's played by Boris McGiver, and she also has an aunt May, right, who's played by Alison Elliott. There's also Aunt Josephine, played by Barbara Sukowa. M. Night does make an appearance, as he tends to do in a lot of his stuff, right? He plays a delivery driver. Yeah, I think. Oh, Natalie, who is Dorothy's therapist and friend, she's played by Jerica Hinton. Yeah, I feel that's. I think that's the main group of people who you see throughout season 1 and 2. I think the only other person really is probably Courtney, played by Katie Lee Hill, and she's Frank's girlfriend. So the gist of the series is this: a wealthy Philadelphia couple, Dorothy and Sean Turner, experience a fracture in their marriage after the death of their 13-week-old son, Jericho. The couple undergoes transoratory object therapy using a lifelike reborn doll after Dorothy experiences a full psychiatric break. Or is that a psychotic? I think it's a psychotic break. The doll, which Dorothy believes is her real child, was the only thing that brought her out of a catatonic state following Jericho's death. 6 weeks after his death, they hire a young nanny, Leanne, to move in and take care of Jericho, the reborn doll, opening their home to a mysterious force. While Sean deals with the grief on his own, he becomes deeply suspicious of Leanne. So, yes, there you go. Now, I will say, I think a lot of that information isn't necessarily overly clear, right? So, when I say that, right, I mean the time from the death and the birth, right, and then how long um it is before they hire Leanne. I don't think that's overly clear. There's kind of references to, oh, it's not been as long as Dorothy believes, but yeah, we don't, and I don't even know if I don't. Maybe I missed something at the beginning that you see it's a doll, but I didn't know it was a doll, right? So it's not until we're in, I think it's the second episode where Sean is like to Leanne, whose baby is that? And I'm just like, yo, what? What are you talking about, son? You know what I mean? That's your baby, motherfucker. Um, but yeah, there is stuff that you're like, but you go with it because it is well done. It's well done. Like the opening music, and it's like music that kind of plays throughout the series. It feels like this xylophone, um, creepy kind of sound that kind of one of those things that you might get out of one of those wind up, you know, money boxes or things with the weird ballerina on top. You know, I mean, it's one of those kind of creepy, kind of weird, but it fits. It really fits. Now, these motherfucking Turners live in a huge house. Oh my day. It's got a basement, right? I think it's also got an attic. Yeah, it's got a basement, it's got an attic. And I think there's like three other floors. It is huge. And you kind of be like, yo, why they need this place that big? But being it's such a big place, it does allow for these shots, right? Where you're kind of going down a corridor. And then sometimes to really bring the tension, right? So where you've seen this corridor before, there's times when it's shot and it feels like it's been elongated, like it's taking them even longer to go down. And that really heightens things, which, hey, that's not a bad thing, people. It's not a bad thing at all. Also, I think it's one of the first things that jumps out is Dorothy kind of seems a little manic, right? A little OTT. She's like, hey, how are you? Oh, isn't this lovely? Isn't she, darling? Ba, 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 ba. And you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on, man? This woman seems out of place. Seems out of place compared to Sean and Leanne and some of the other peoples. And you're like, but it makes sense, right? Now, as I said, look, it takes a while for you to kind of get a full grasp of everything that's happened. And even so, we still don't really see exactly what happens over the course of these 2 seasons. So 20 episodes, we still don't know what this woman did. Right now, I think you can maybe hint at, right? There's a few hints, so you could make assumptions, but I don't think there's anything clear to say, oh, this is what happened. Right? We just know this baby died. Uh, so yeah, it's but as you realize there's something crazy happened, and then you know about the therapy and all of this, you're like, oh, Yeah, it's the coping mechanism, right? And that it is balanced out so well by Sean, who's a bit more straight lace and subdued, and then Leanne. The way Nell plays this role is great, right? Because when you see just from the gate, right, the way everyone's walking, like quicker footsteps. Leanne is very precise and slow and measured. And that's with every just in the speech and everything like that. It's all very prim and measured. And just the way all of these different traits intersect, it really does kind of bring this atmosphere of just unease, right? This atmosphere of unease and just creepiness. So, oh my gosh, it's really well done, right? It's really well done. And you really do get this kind of odd feel, right? Because it's not until I think it's like episode 7 that we really see some kind of odd shit that you can look at and go, hold the fuck on, right? Because I think like weird things happen, like dudes in cribs, stuff like that. You're just like, oh, that's a bit weird. That is very weird here, people. But there's nothing kind of supernatural until about, I think it's episode 7. It might have been 6. I feel it's 7. No, I do think it's 7. Or it might have been 9. No, 8. Yeah, it's close to the end. Fuck. It's 20 episodes, people. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's not until then. But yeah, like leading up to all of this, it's just really, you know what I mean, odd. It's really uneasy and weird. So you just feel tense, right? You just feel on edge watching it because you're like, oh, what the fuck is happening, man? Like, oh, where is this going? Like, what are these weird people's doing? And then, especially as you know, as I mentioned earlier, right? Julian hires a private detective, and like that all starts to unfold, that we see like all these weird things and we hear these odd coincidences or just things from the past, and it's just like, oh, I wonder what that means. So it all becomes weird. Like Sean loses his taste, which I mean, look, he loses it. Like Sean loses his taste. There are a few other things that happen that no one seems to do the logical thing of, right? But you'd think, and especially someone in his profession, is at first, look, I understand giving it some days, so he gets Toby to taste food, and then he starts to kind of become friendlier to Leanne and gets her to taste food and stuff like that. And you think, okay, now, yeah, I can see that happening. But you think you would then get to a point where you're like, I gotta go to a doctor. You know what I mean? This is my profession. I cannot let this really just fuck everything up. But yeah, doesn't do it. The whole basement situation, we don't really have it mentioned until I think it's like episode 8 or 9 of season 2. Right, that, and it's not even mentioned really then. We just have builders turn up to kind of fix it. But you would think if that shit is going down, you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? You know, but no, nothing. It's a little weird. And I will also say stuff goes down where they are just kind of, oh, okay. You know, it's weird. Like people will turn up and they don't want them in the house, but they're like, okay, you can come in. You're just like, I mean, you can always say no, right? You can slam the door on them, or you don't have to drive someone back to your house. If they say, take me to your house, you can be like, no, I'm not going to do that. So these weird things go down, which you just think, huh, like there is a lot of trust that has not been earned. You know, like someone makes you a salve, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. Like when before you've been, I don't trust that person is fucking weird or creepy, or I think they're up to no good. But then you're like, all right, I'll take this salve. So there are things that seem odd, odd kind of jumps to make, right? Because you think, wait, hold on, why would they get like they're super aggy about these things, you know, but they're gonna let that happen or do that, right? The whole wonder situation is up to a point when it all goes down, you're like, oh, but then we see her later on, and you're like, wait, what? Why the fuck would she be? Huh? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Right? There was a weird situation with Leanne and Julian, which does seem that it was very throwaway, but it does come back. Right? We do get that revisited later on. So you're like, okay, all right, that's fine. That makes sense. I will say though, right? There is a bit. Well, it goes on for a little while with Natalie that you're just like, where did that come from? Right? Because in the lead up to this, like I think she's in one episode or maybe two episodes before this certain thread starts, where there are interactions that aren't friendly. They seem very odd. But then all of a sudden, boom, just like that. Just like that. It's like, huh. Like it's a 180. And you're like, wait, why the fuck? Like, I don't know if I buy that. And then after that point, when we see her, it's all blah blah blah. Oh yeah, blah, blah. And you're just like, where the fuck did that come from? That's what, but it's then just kind of forgotten about, right? They don't go anywhere else with it. And that's in the first two seasons, right? So they may pick up on it a bit more in season three, maybe. But up to this point, yeah, that storyline seems to kind of disappear. I mean, it's reference in the fact being, but yeah, we don't see her, which it feels a little weird to do. You know what I mean? Does feel a little bit of a weird thing. Be like, wait, hold on a second. Why are you? How come that? Huh. But yeah, I will say that the story is intriguing as hell. It really is. Like all these weird things happen. You find out about Leanne's past. Right. The more we find out about Dorothy and Sean back in the day, you do also see Dorothy is a cunt, right? She's not nice. She isn't. I mean, to say she's not. Maybe she. Yeah, maybe that's not quite right, right? To say she's not nice, but I will say she isn't the sweet thing that you might have thought early on, right? She's kind of mean and hurtful if she doesn't get her own way, right? So there is all of this, which then does make you wonder about Leanne's mission, as it were, you know? So yeah, there's a lot happening. I do also like, right, because Sean is a chef, we do get these little cooking segment bits where he's creating new recipes and all things like that. You're like, ooh, yeah, actually, that sounds okay. I wouldn't mind trying. I don't know about lobster fucking ice cream. I don't know about that. Or fuck, there was something. Was it blowfish popcorn? There was another weird one that you'd be like, say what? But no, some of the things he does cook up, you'd be like, oh yeah, I'd like to try that for sure. So yeah, the way it just all fits together, it's intriguing. You do think there's more to Toby as well. When I say, look, don't get it twisted. When I say more to Toby, there's just something else because I don't know, man. He's mooning about, but then, like he does a weird shit, and you just think, address it, you little fucking weirdo. Like, address the thing. What's wrong with you? So no, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going. I'm looking forward to getting into season 3, definitely. And yeah, knowing there's a full season and that's it, be like, oh, how are they going to tie this off? Because yeah, the way season 2 ends, oh, it's getting ominous. It really is. You just feel like there's this storm coming. It's all kind of building up to something crazy, So, man. And oh, one thing, right? Now, if you are videoing certain things, right? You're videoing certain things and you're watching these videos. Now, you get a reference. Sean says something, and you're like, yeah, that would be weird. But then we see this other thing that goes on, and you're just like, wait. If you're watching a bit, you didn't see that, right? That wouldn't alarm you that someone is then doing this thing because that's weirder than the thing that Sean mentions. And you're just like, how the fuck aren't you like what? you know, what I mean? You mentioned this one thing that you wouldn't go, yeah, this happens, but the thing that really blew my mind is this. Can you fucking believe this shit? Right? You're just like, hmm. And also, the shit Dorothy does, which they kind of let her off with, right? She does some crazy shit. And you're just like, yo, anyone that does this shit, no, not stable, not right. So that means I think you just rip the band-aid because she already fucked. She already fucked up. Rip that motherfucking band-aid, son. You know what I mean? But yeah, there are these loose ends. There are these things that you're just like, wait, huh? But yeah, I'm gripped. I'm gripped. I'm loving every episode. So yeah, I'm looking to get into 3, people. I'm looking to get into 3. And obviously, I'm going to be breaking this shit down. All right. So, yeah, if you haven't watched season 1 and 2 of Servant, they're on Apple TV Plus. So, do your free trial, right? Do your free trial, check it out. And I feel that's going to make you want to stay. Because there's other, there's, you know, The Foundation, that's on there. See, that's on there. So you have all of these other things. Everyone's talking about Ted Lasso and The Morning Show, and they've got Snoopy in space. So there's content. The content is, you know, it's building up. Finch, right? The film, you know, the Animal Planet stuff. I mean, it's not called like Tiny World and all of these other. So there is good stuff. So yeah, do the free trial, check it out, dip your toe, and yeah, I think you'll be intrigued enough to stay. So people, that is season 1 and 2 of Servant.